Yes, my people, I don't come again to update our mindset. Today's update, now the update concerning the conflict between the Israelites and the Palestinians. These people now, the conflict between them, it started a very long time ago. I think about 2006, there. Very, very long time ago. Now this conflict starts. But this conflict, the Palestinians, them, they don't try wage war concerning the Israelites before, but they don't fit. Their power no reach. In the sense that they sleep, unknown flood come from nowhere, sweep them away, wipe them away. So because of that, them no fit raise power. They can't quarrel for the war. They no fit raise alarm again. They can't keep silent. So right now, few days ago, the Israelites, them, they never thought of war again. So then they sleep. Now these Palestinians, they take them unaware. They send many missiles enter Israelites. Condemn many key souls for Israelites there. So when they wake up, they see the disaster waiting happen. They say, no, we cannot take this. They can't help send warning to the civilians, innocent civilians, when they Palestinians, make them evacuate with immediate effect. Because why? They don't fit take this nonsense when they do. After when they pass the message, before 24 hours, they can't retaliate. My brothers and sisters, if you now see what they go on now between Israel and the Palestinians, and I go no say yes, man, this world is coming to an end. When it be say yes, the Israel, you know what Israel comprises of. Israel, now the heart of Christianity. Now there, so why you go wake up say you carry fight go Israel? Before you carry fight go Israel, definitely you yourself, you must not eat well. You go prepare, because Israel is not a little country where you just carry war, go wake up, say you want to go fight Israel. Now, see the consequences, see what they cause. Now, the Palestinians, they are now totally confused. Everywhere for Palestine, everywhere is on fire. I think when they see all these videos, when they show, all these videos when they show, these are the things when they go on now. Both for Israelites, both for Palestinians, these videos now everything they go on now. So right now, I don't want to talk too much. I want to bring up the update for those of us who never see them. So that now they see what they go on for the conflict when they go on between Israel and Palestinians. When I go see the update. And as they watch this update too, I beg you, with the name of God, make sure say you go like, comment and share. Share, very important. Share that so that people, whenever come across, if they don't never know what they happen for the world, may they see get the update and see what they happen between the Israelites and the Palestinians. Thank you.
Want to take a live look once again from just one of our many cameras. That is Gaza City there as we go back to this breaking news. Israel officially at war. Israel's security cabinet voting a bit earlier on to officially go to war for the first time since 1973. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had already declared that Israel was, quote, at war Saturday, but the security cabinet decision unlocks, quote, significant military activities. That is according to a statement released by Netanyahu's office. Hamas terrorists have killed at least 600 Israelis and wounded at least 2,000 others in a surprise rocket attack that happened this weekend. The group has also taken dozens of hostages within Gaza, and the Israeli military is preparing here to engage. I want to bring in Chuck Freilich, the former Deputy National Security Advisor to Israel, to talk more about what's going on. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first off, just give me your initial reaction as you have watched all of this unfold over the last 24 to 48 hours.
Well, it was a sense of horror and dismay. This was an earthquake for Israel, a Pearl Harbor type situation. It was the first time in Israel's history, at least first time since the War of Independence in 1948, that Israeli territory was at least temporarily conquered, occupied by Hamas, a terrorist organization. People just slaughtered, people taken hostage. You mentioned the current death toll of 600 people. Just to put that in proportional American terms, that's the equivalent of 24,000 people killed. So that this is a fundamental change in the situation for Israel. And I believe that we will and should see it in the magnitude of the response, which I believe will be very large.
And kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, Israel is much smaller than the U.S., and that's something that it seems a lot of people don't necessarily realize, is that we're talking about, let's say, 600, but that, you know, based on the size, is a lot of people.
It's huge, and it's not just the people. Israel's population is the equivalent of New York City, and population and geographic size is similar to New Jersey. Israel's a very, very tiny country. Everybody knows everybody else pretty much. And here the numbers are such that everybody will know. And it's not just the dead. I mean, it's something like 100 hostages taken to Gaza, including women with infants. There were heart-rending pictures. There were 50 people taken hostage in a kibbutz near the Gaza border. Fortunately, they were freed. There was commandos stormed that situation and released them. This is just something that has never happened, like I said, in Israel's history, and it's hard to convey the depth of feeling, how upset people are about what's happened.
And it's being called an unprecedented attack, as we mentioned. Would you say that that's a fairly accurate depiction of what is going on here?
Well, as I said, first of all, it's unprecedented because Israel's never lost territory of its own before. It's unprecedented because Hamas was extraordinarily successful. There was a colossal intelligence and operational failure here. I think Hamas is probably almost as surprised by their success as we were by our failure. I don't think they believed that they would go anywhere as far as they did. I think they thought they could probably break through the border here and there. They did it in lots of places. 29 different towns were attacked or temporarily occupied by them, and there's still fighting going on in one or two places, almost 24 hours later. This is a psychological bombshell for Israel. It really is.
And I want to talk about the comments that were made by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said, almost instantly, I would say, you know, Israel's at war. We know this morning it's officially been voted on, and now they are officially at war. But what do you make of his comments, and what stood out to you the most?
Well, I think he was reflecting the gravity of the situation and his knowledge that he would get cabinet approval, formalization of. He gave the initial orders to mobilize the forces and for the initial response, and by law, the cabinet must approve things beyond that. So to a certain extent, it was just a legal formality, but it was also the cabinet recognizing what the prime minister recognized from the first moment, that this was a fundamental change in the situation, and Israel would have to respond in a unprecedented way since 1973. As you said before, declaring war for the first time since then.
What sort of effect do you think this is going to happen on diplomatic relations, let's say, with the Saudis, and also the relationships with the neighboring countries there?
Well, it's certainly not going to have a good effect. I think it will. Look, just a couple of days ago, we were talking about this dramatic breakthrough in Israeli-Saudi relations. Now we're back talking about the good old, or maybe I should say bad old, Middle East being at war. I think the Saudis will have to, at best, delay a breakthrough with Israel for a few months, and I'm saying that's at best. It could be worse. I think we've seen broad criticism of Israel throughout the Arab world, including from countries where today, the Abraham Accord countries, that we might have expected a different response from. And in some of the previous rounds with Hamas and with Hezbollah during the war in 2006, or the major operation at the time, we saw a number of these countries actually criticizing Hamas or Hezbollah as being responsible for what happened. And here, I would have expected that they would have put the blame on them also, because, I mean, there's no doubt here. This is not whatever people think of the Palestinian issue, the West Bank, settlements, etc., that's a different issue. This is simply an attack on Israel proper, unpremeditated. And I would have thought that they would recognize that as well.
When you're looking at these images that are coming out of Gaza, we have this one right here where now there's a bunch of smoke. You can see fire there in the distance. We've seen similar pictures coming in all over the last 24 hours or so. What goes through your mind as you're looking at those?
What comes to me? Look, war is ugly, and this is going to get uglier. It's going to get uglier on both sides. Today, in the current global political environment, we get and correctly, we get very upset when we see civilian casualties, and even if we just see physical damage. But sides that start wars have to pay a price, and unfortunately, civilians are the ones who tend to pay much of that price. Gaza is going to be hit very hard now. Israel, despite what some people believe, goes to extraordinary lengths to prevent civilian casualties and will continue to do so. But all bets are off this time. Israel's going to hit Gaza in a way that has not happened. And some of it won't look good. And I hope that we will continue to have support, because this one, I believe, is wholly justified.
What do you make of the comments that were made by President Biden, and what do you think the U.S. involvement in all of this will be?
Well, first of all, the president made a very, very strong statement in Israel's behalf. So the United States supports Israel, full stop. There's no equivocations here. And I think that's important for the Middle East to see, mostly for those who may potentially want to escalate, Hezbollah, Iran, some other Shiite militias, Palestinians on the West Bank. I don't believe that the U.S. will be drawn into this in any way directly. There will be some resupply for Israel that's based on existing agreements, but I don't believe that there will be a need for any direct involvement beyond. I mean, Israel is already regrouping. We blew it with the initial military response, but this is something that Israel is fully capable of handling on its own.
And you already said a bit about this, but do you think there's any end in sight to what is playing out here right now?
Not immediately. This is going to last quite a while. I personally believe, and I speak now as someone who has always urged restraint and moderation, and who believed that the policy of trying to achieve some containment of Hamas was appropriate. I was against major operations to date. I didn't think there was a need for it, or that the cost would justify it. This time it's totally different. I believe that we have to go in, temporarily reoccupy Gaza, and I emphasize temporarily because nobody wants to stay there. It will take a few months to root out all of the rockets. And I believe that the end game has to be toppling Hamas as the minimum. But then the real question is what happens after you've done that? Who takes over? Because you don't want to leave a power vacuum. And I think the objective has to then be to reinstate the PA, the Palestinian Authority, which was overthrown. They're in charge of the West Bank and supposedly for the entire Palestinian arena, to reinstate their control in Gaza. They were overthrown by Hamas in 2007.
All right, Chuck Freilich, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and provide that perspective there. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
I think we've covered the primary questions.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time to be here.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, want to take you back out to this live image that we do have. This is obviously from an area where you can see a lot of members of the media, but this is a live look over in Gaza City. You can see the smoke that is rising. Things, for the most part, had calmed down a little bit over the last 30 minutes from this image that we're looking at, but now you can see more smoke. And we did have another angle a bit earlier where you could see a boat that had caught fire. We did have crews that went to that area and they were able to put that fire out. I'm taking a look at that camera right now that is provided by Reuters. So let's pop that one up and you can see a lot of smoke there once again in the distance. Just another angle from Gaza City right now. 10:13 on the East Coast, 7:13 on the West Coast. Let's head to a quick 2-minute commercial break and we'll be right back with more Live Raw and Unfiltered. unfiltered coverage.